introduce Jakub Baran, who is CEO of PBKM. Thank you for joining us today. Please give us a background to your product and expected market developments.
PBKM is largest, far the largest European family stem cell bank. So we are offering to other services than products to the families expecting the baby, and we are collecting the biological material after the baby is delivered, and that material is transported to our labs, and we are isolating stem cells, testing them, processing, and keeping for storage for 20, 25, if not more years, to be potentially used in treating either the baby or the other members of the family. So this is the core activity of our group. And we are also involved in the production of various ATMPs, meaning advanced therapy medicinal products, acting as a contracted manufacturing organization. And our clients are mostly Polish private and public clinics running experimental therapies or clinical trials. And we have also one client from Sweden and one client from US. And we are also conducting some R&D activity. So we're involved in 10 clinical trials, being either a member of consortia or various consortia or running them by ourselves. So that's more or less what we are doing.
Thank you. And can you talk us through the voluntary exchange offer launched by Vita34?
Yes, I mean, at the moment, the company is in one of the most important moments in its history. We are in the process of merger with Vita34. In practice, that's an exchange offer in place, meaning that Vita will emit large number of shares directed to PBKM shareholders willing to exchange simply their shares at PBKM, to shares of Vita. So that process took some time to prepare because Vita had to go through approval of prospectus by BaFin. So there was an external and independent valuation of both companies prepared by the company called Value Trust in Germany. The process is ongoing, meaning that the offer formally started several days ago and shall finish in the end of, well, let's say around 20th of October. And the goal for Vita is to simply reach 95% of shares of PBKM. Then we would be formally part of Vita Group. Yes, our group become, from technical point of view, a part of Vita Group. And creating altogether even larger entity in Europe with very strong position on the most important markets. It's not very, maybe I will comment, it's not very common for such companies of so relatively small size to have a cross-border merger, you may say, yes, because both companies are listed on different stocks. In theory, the law is unified under European directives, but the local implementations are different in Poland and Germany. So it's really complicated process. And yeah, I think we are in the process for more than 6 months already, if not more. I think practically probably around 1 year. And it is well received, I think, by our shareholders and also by shareholders of Vita. And there were no real issues at General Assembly of Vita, and also among our shareholders, there is a general positive attitude. And of course, we shall not forget that majority shareholder of PBKM is Active Ownership Capital, controlling roughly 62.5%, and that Vita AOC is the largest shareholder, controlling directly 33%, more or less, and PBKM is also shareholder of Vita, having 4%. So you may say that in practice, from let's say German law perspective, AOC is controlling shareholder of both companies. So you may name it also like a operation within AOC Capital Group, yeah, because we are somehow strongly connected, yes, through AOC.
Understood. And do you expect any major changes to your strategy after the merger?
Not really. Of course, we'll have to work with Vita together on the joint strategy. I don't think we will migrate outside of core business. So core business will stay like it is, so which is family stem cell banking. But we, of course, will like to develop more this field of contracted manufacturing. But we have to collect, let's say, plenty of information from both sides to be able to verify, let's say, what are the best countries to invest. We have to also optimize the structure in some countries. I mean, we don't have, fortunately, that much overlap, yes, because we are in Germany, but Vita controls, I think, 85% of German market. So, so let's say that there is an obvious thing that Vita has more knowledge on the market and is capable to sell more. In Spain is the different situation where we control at the moment, I think, 50% of the market share. So we know more about Spanish market, and these are the only countries which you may say kind of overlap. And with certain presence of Vita in Switzerland also, yes. We are not in Austria where Vita is present. We are pretty weak in Lithuania, where Vita is present, and Vita is also operating in Denmark, where we have a partner. So I would say that that's not that very complicated thing. And from strategic point of view, it's just a matter of selection of the right countries we like to put more attention, and that's for sure Germany. And also we think that Switzerland is very interesting market and could be developed further, and Turkey also looks interesting, although it's not an easy market due to weakness of Turkish lira and high inflation ratio. But you shall not forget 1.3 million newborns in Turkey, so it's like Germany and UK, yes, together. Yeah, but we'll work on that. I mean, that will take a couple of months, yes, to present the strategy, to joint strategy to the market. I think it will be probably mid of next year, yes, when we'll be able to show something.
And do you still experience a negative impact from COVID-19 on your offline distribution channels?
Yes, yes. I mean, here I can tell that we suffered much more than Vita as PBKM. And the reason is that in the countries of South, especially Spain, Portugal, we had very well developed offline channel, not only related with doctors, but also with pregnancy schools, or with we have a network of ultrasonography points where women were coming to do the ultrasonography, and that was a source of leads for banking also, yes. So that was hit a lot. The same in Poland, we suffered because we are also doing a lot with doctors here. In some countries we did not suffer at all, like Germany, yes, and also Vita, as far as I know, did not suffer, even the opposite. The same is in Switzerland. So I think that there are mixed impacts, let's say, depending on the country. And you can see also in the number of newborns, yes, that you have historically low numbers of newborns in Spain or in Poland, while in Germany it is rather going up, and the same is for Switzerland. And so I think that that is reflecting the, let's say, trust of the society towards the government somehow. Yeah, I mean, people, having baby is an economical effort, yeah, for the family. So in the countries where the societies are not afraid that much, they are not delaying the decision about having the baby, while in the countries with not so much trust towards government is different, because Polish economy is doing very well. I mean, comparing to the others, we are doing very well in COVID, and also recovery is very quick, but that's not sufficient, And for Spain, of course, with all the issues Spain has, COVID is a problem, yes. So we believe that the situation will improve, especially in Portugal, because Portugal is really doing very well with vaccination. They are close to 85% of vaccination of the society, one of the highest in Europe. So I think that, you know, the measurements, the stricter measurements, lockdowns would be simply released, and then we'll be able to come back quickly. So that's good. Yes, in Eastern and Central Europe, it's not that good. In Germany, is, you know, 60-50%. I think is in the mid. But I think that, yeah, we have to live at least 1 year more with strange situation. Yes, I mean there is no other way than vaccination, in my opinion, yeah, to have certain comfort for people and also for the economy and healthcare system and all the related things. From the other point of view, we are doing tests in Poland for against COVID. Yes, so we had some revenue from that, not substantial, but a few €100,000 with nice margin. So we used the opportunity that we have some equipment, we had trained people, we had a permit, so we simply offered the service. In the other countries, it's more difficult to do because there is a strong competition from diagnostic networks, or simply the scale of the operations is not sufficient to be able to do these tests at the good price. Yes, so I think that I may comment that we are doing better than competitors overall, not all of them, but most of them. So that means that this is a natural. COVID is showing the weaknesses of weak players, you know. So after COVID, stronger companies will get even stronger, and that's general. It's not only for our industry. Yes, so it's a natural filter, you may say, or you know, which eliminates weaker players, which is not that bad strategically. Tactically, we are suffering, but in long term, I think that that will help us.
And please tell us about the developments within your therapies and drug manufacturing business.
So first of all, we have to distinguish two things. One is, or even there are even more than two things. First of all, talking about production part. So for the production for experimental therapies, if we are talking about hospital exemption-based therapies, that was hit by COVID a lot. The reason is very simple. If routine therapies were delayed or postponed, you cannot expect many experimental therapies going on, because hospitals were simply not able to do that. Second is that patients which are under experimental therapy, they are suffering of, you know, diseases which are not treatable, and they were afraid of traveling. If even they were not afraid of traveling, they had restrictions in traveling. So that part really was hit by COVID, and it's not recovered yet. I mean, we see recovery in second half of this year, but it was hit a lot in last year. First half of this year was not good, and the second half of the year is showing symptoms of strong improvement. But we are far away from the levels from year 2018, for example. In terms of clinical trials and then production for clinical trials, that's more or less like we expected. The issue is that recruitment process for clinical trials is also slowed down. Yes, because again, patients are afraid of traveling, and they cannot come from so many visits. So then probably they should be excluded from the entire clinical trial. So that's going on, but with certain delays. And the other thing is, you know, the clinical trials themselves. So some of them finished. We are analyzing the results in some consortia projects, especially. What I can tell that I don't expect any breakthrough, which is unfortunately normal. So what was important, safety was confirmed in most of these trials. Not in all of them, sorry, in all of them was confirmed. Use of stem cells based products is safe. However, from efficacy point of view, you cannot prove it. With one exception, or which are already confirmed, so we will go for kind of commercialization, and we don't know yet what would be the path. And of course, there are ongoing clinical trials where we have some pretty good results. We are not disclosing them yet, but they are pretty interesting results with the trial for ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. We finished a small study for 20 patients, and the next study for 80 patients will start in Q1, maybe Q2 next year, depending. I think then Q1 rather. And in chronic wounds healing, the results are really promising. So we continue the project, which is consortial project with a few public universities, and there are further patients recruited. And as you know, statistically, I don't know, maybe 5% of clinical trials, maybe 3% is finished with success. So it's not surprising. I mean, we are used to doing that because we believe that some of them would be successful, but also this is a very good marketing tool, that we are not just a big refrigerator. And that distinguishes our company from the others. I mean, we are much more reliable to the doctors, authorities, various patients, organizations, that we are also trying to, simply provide the therapy. I think we are the only bank actually being able to provide a therapy in Europe. Because if you will ask any UK or Spanish bank where they like to treat their patients, they have to rely on third parties outside of Europe because they don't have necessary permits. And we have, yes, as the only company in the industry in Europe, we have these permits in Poland. So we have patients coming to Poland for experimental therapies. And the alternative is to go to Panama or go to India, or Ukraine, and they pay much more and in much less regulated environment, or go to Israel, that you have everything very nice, but then the price is 10 times higher, or go to US maybe, yes, where the price is also very high. Yeah, so it is progressing. However, we are not a research company. I mean, we are involved in that activity because we believe it may help to the core business. And also it is partially or substantially co-sponsored by grants, yes, or reimbursement of various organizations. So we are not biotech from that perspective. I mean, with maybe certain selected activities. So we don't need to raise money constantly, yes.